Hi everybody, it's Angie the Coder, and today I'm coming to you with a brand new series. It's titled 2021 EM Changes, and this is a deep dive series. We're going to do 4, maybe more videos, but definitely we have 4 videos in the series, and they're all going to be about the 2021 EM changes, how they work, what the guidelines are, and what you're going to need to know so that you'll be prepared. So let's just jump in and get started. Okay, I have included the link to the source document. Right now I've got one source document I'm using for this video series, and the link to it is on the screen as well as in the description box below the video. It's a PDF format from the AMA, and this is a file that I highly recommend that you may want to just stop right now, download that, print it up, and follow along as we're going through this video series, because I think this will be very helpful. It's a great document too that you might want to share with your providers, or if you are a provider, you might want to share it with your peers. So that's our source document. So I'm going to jump on in to the introduction. So today's video is an introduction. If you've seen my previous video on EM changes, and I'll link that above or down in the description below. Anyway, so I'll link that somewhere for you guys if you want to go back and watch that. You really don't need to if you're watching this video right now, because it's pretty much the same thing. I just decided I was going to start over and create an entire series so we could really, get intimate with some of this stuff. So if you've seen my 2021 EM changes video that I did previously, you've seen kind of what the introduction's about. But love to have you along for this video. The rest of the series is really gonna go a lot deeper. So this is just sort of to whet your appetite and get you started in the right direction. There are some myths, and in this video we're going to dispel about 3 myths, and I'm going to share a couple of surprises with you. The first myth that I've been hearing from people is, oh, all EM codes are going away, they're all affected. No, they're not. That's not true. The good news is that only the outpatient office codes are affected by the 2021 changes. Those are codes 99201 through 99215, and also the prolonged service codes are also affected. There are going to be some changes with those as well. We're going to have an entire video on the prolonged service stuff for you. It's not hard. You'll like it, I promise you. But yeah, there was kind of a major change there. So, but the only codes changing are 99201 through 99215. And let me make sure I said that right. 99201 through 99215, and also the prolonged services codes. So, busted myth number 1. Myth number 2 is that history and exam are going to be history. And that is not true either. Providers are still going to be expected to document history and exam, but they have been empowered to document the history and exam that they think is pertinent to the medical care of the patient that they're treating. As a matter of fact, to quote the AMA, the nature and extent of the history and/or exam or physical exam is to be determined by the treating physician. So to me, this is a statement empowering providers to do a history and exam as they see fit, what they think is appropriate in caring for their patients. And it's basically, we're no longer gonna level a service in that series, the 99201 through the 99215, based on bullets, based on history and exam bullets. I'm glad to see that tedious foolishness go away, and I'm actually enjoy doing it. I'm pretty good at it, but I can't imagine how tedious it is for a provider when they're trying to take care of sick patients to have to click all those bullets, and it's been a little ridiculous. So I'm happy to see that going away, and I think this is going to be a really good thing for providers. I think they're going to be very happy with this information. Keep in mind that this is only for those codes, 99201 through 99215. You are still going to have to meet all those little bullets and everything for history and exam. You're still going to have to do that for all the other EM codes. So, for example, if you have a patient who's in the hospital and you do an H&P, you still need a comprehensive history and comprehensive exam and medical decision making of high, to bill a 99223. So that is not going away. Hate to tell you that. Hey, maybe they'll approach that next year. I don't know. But for this year, in your office visits, you do not have to worry about documenting bullets. You don't have to level your service based on history and exam bullets. You can focus on giving the patient documenting and performing. Sorry, let me be clear. You can focus on performing and documenting history and exam that you think is appropriate for the patient's care, and don't worry about bullets and so forth going forward in 2021 for your office and outpatient visits. So, guess what? There's a surprise. Okay, so I'm a little amped up. I'm kind of excited about this surprise and a little shocked. 99201 is going to be deleted. At first I thought, what in the world? And then I took a look and I could see exactly why they deleted it. It's fantastic news. So if you look at this chart here, this is currently the way things line up. As you can see, a 99201 and a 99202, they're both straightforward. The only thing that makes them different is the type of history and exam that they have. One has problem focus and one has expanded problem focus. So when we delete those columns, because we won't be leveling based on history and exam, then we just have a 99201 for straightforward and a 99202 for straightforward, and that makes no sense whatsoever. So by removing the 99201, by deleting that code, you're basically lining everything up nice and neatly. It makes it very easy for providers to remember things. So let me flip to the next slide and show you how nice and neat it's going to look. Isn't that much better? So in this case, there are no ones. You have no 99201 to worry about, and then 99211 is actually a non-physician visit, so we're not even going to think about that one right now. So what you'll be focusing on going forward in 2021 is codes 99202 through 99215. It'll be nice and neat. So if you look at this, you'll see how neatly the two, so whether you're a new patient or established patient, whether it's a new or established patient, it's going to be a 2 is going to be straightforward, a 3 is going to be low, a 4 is going to be moderate, and a 5 is going to be high. It's going to be so neat and clean. That's all you have to remember. All you have to remember, whether it's a new patient or an established patient, is if it's a 2, it's straightforward. If it's a 3, it's a low. If it's a 4, it's moderate. If it's a 5, it's high. Super easy to remember, right? So that's one of the great things about them deleting code 99201. It just makes things look so much neater and so much easier, and there's less redundancy in there. There's another surprise. There's a new code that's going to be added, 99XXX. And at first when I saw that, I thought they're not telling us what the last 3 digits are. But I think that the XXX are going to be the last 3 digits, because if you look at the AMA source document that I told you needed to download, if you go and you look, they're actually giving us a snapshot, a sneak preview of what your code book is going to look like. And currently, this is in there as 99XXX. And what this code is going to be, it's going to be a prolonged service code that you will use only with codes 99201 through 99202. We have to start saying that now. 99202 through 99215. So let me repeat that. 99XXX is going to be a new prolonged service code that will only be used with codes 99202 through 99215. Don't worry, we're going to have an entire video devoted to how this prolonged service code is going to work. I think you're going to like it. It's going to be pretty easy. All right, so let's talk about this. We took away history as a way to level. We took away exam as a way to level. So what are we left with? How in 2021 are we going to actually level a service? Well, we're going to level it based on either time or medical decision making. Makes it much easier. And that is going to lead me to the next video in the series. We're going to talk about time and how we're going to use time and how the rules of time have changed a little bit. And I think they're actually nicer now than they were. I think the providers are going to really like how they get to use time in 2021. But that'll be the next video in the series. Will be all about how providers will need to document their time and what they can count, and it's going to be pretty cool. So you need to come back for that video, which will be next. And the other way that you'll be able to level a service is by using medical decision making. And we're going to have a video on that too. So I want to address one more myth before we wrap this video up, and that myth is that EM coders are going to become a thing of the past. When we first started hearing that there were going to be major changes to the EM codes, a lot of coders got nervous, especially those of us that spend a lot of time doing EM coding. I mean, that's about 100% of what I'm doing right now. And so it made me a little nervous when I first started hearing it. But then I realized after I saw the guidelines that we're still going to have outpatient EM codes. They're just going to be different. They're just not, no, we're not going to be leveling based on history and physical, but there'll be other elements that we'll have to make sure the provider is documenting. Providers are going to need some assistance learning how, kind of learning what the new guidelines are going to be. They're going to want someone to help them with that. A really good thing you can do if you're a coder is offer to kind of concurrently review some of your provider's notes in the office and show them, show them how the note would have been had it had been a 2021 note, give them some guidelines, give them some tips on whether they would probably do better if they were documenting via medical decision making or whether they were documenting via time. And as we get further in this series, you'll see more about what I mean about that. But I think coders have the opportunity to really assist their providers especially between now, which I'm recording this in August, between now and January 1st, which is when these code changes take effect. So you have plenty of time to get with your providers, take a look at their documentation, run them against the guidelines, and then give them some tips for how they can help themselves to document efficiently and to code properly, to code correctly and accurately. Help them to, these guidelines are supposed to be helping them, so help your providers help themselves. And if you're a provider, it's a good time to look at those guidelines and think about how you document and how it's going to affect you. And, reach out to your coder and have them guide you and, help you with it too. They'll be happy to look at some of your notes with you. All right. The other point I wanted to say is for the coders, keep in mind that your providers are probably also seeing patients with other EM visits. Preventive visits are not changing. Critical care is not changing. Outpatient observation codes, ER codes, inpatient, none of that's changing. The only thing that's changing is your office outpatient codes. So you're still needed. You may be a coder that also does some surgery coding or some diagnostic coding. But if you're like me and all you do is EM coding, there's still going to be work for you to do. I'm pretty sure of it. So that should dispel myth number 3. So I'm Angie the Coder, as I said before. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed it enough to at least give it a thumbs up. Hope it's been helpful. Please subscribe to the channel, and you can ring the bell and it will notify you when I drop new videos, which I should be dropping them pretty quickly now that I've got this series going. You can reach out to me via email. My email address is Angie@angiethecoder.com. And I have a lot of resources, and I have a blog. I don't know if you guys are aware. I actually have a blog out on my website, which is angiethecoder.com. So there's all kind of ways to get in touch with me. I'm also on Facebook and all kind of places. So reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you'll come back for the next video in this series, which will be all about time.